Welcome back to my channel. This is the second in a series on the large white oak armoire dresser that I'm building on a client engagement. With such a large glue up, the upright being about 81.5 inches, I'm gluing this up in sections on the ground. You'll see that I've made myself some 90-degree braces here. This is from kiln-dried construction lumber. I made this, planed this, and then put it on my table saw crosscut sled so that I can make sure this is exactly 90 degrees in the glue up, and it's higher up than my other squares that I use for small casework. I've also checked with a known engineer square that this is dead square here. This is glued into a rabbet in the bottom. So what I'll do next is I will glue up the right hand side using the same braces, 90-degree braces. This is the second part of the glue up of my large white oak dresser armoire. You can see that I'm using my shop built 90-degree braces because it's so tall, but you can also see that I've got an engineer's square to double check on the bottom. And I'll pan up to show you that those are the two tops. With my story pole, and I'll put a link to the video that I just posted, you can see that all my dados are cut for the shelves. The valances will go in front, and I'll go down to the bottom again, and this will glue up now. I have the center divider, which has dados on the left and right side for the shelves. This will give a lot of rigidity once the center panel is in. Here I'm fitting the drawer dividers. These are purely for visual, so that the drawer fronts sit in here, and there's a clean divider since we're going to have the bottom fixed shelf all the way to the front. There's no valance here. On these top two shelves, there will be a valance, which I'm fitting here, and the LED lights will be mounted on a 45-degree angle here. So there'll be a fixed shelf, which I have my blanks here. They need to be scraped and sanded. And each shelf will have a valance that sits on the front that hides the 45-degree LED channel. And that way the light will go beautifully into the back of the shelf. These will have wooden drawer slides, which will be mounted obviously thinner than this. I've found that wooden drawer slides, when properly waxed, are incredibly smooth, and when glued and screwed in, obviously I'm not going to glue them across because that would be a cross-grain issue, but I'll glue them in the middle and then screw them in here. These will operate for years very, very smoothly. There are antique pieces that have wooden drawer slides that have been around since mid-1700s. You'll see that on the top, rather than having a very long clamp, which I don't have that many of, all I did was I clamped in a rail here and a rail on the top, and that kept the top glued in very tightly onto my center and side panels. So now the basic carcass is all complete. My fixed shelves are in. My valances for the LED lights are all in. I've cut a slight rabbet on the bottom side of this drawer so that the LED channel can fit in here. I have my drawer dividers. These are not structural, they are visual, because I want the drawer fronts to slip in and have consistent look with a rail, similar to the top, the fixed shelf, and the bottom. And these are continuous grain. They're one large panel that I cut down the middle, and I will fit using the center as the common and cut from the edge. As part of the next phase of this white oak armoire, you'll see that I've rough fitted the drawer fronts. These are all continuous grain. So this was one board originally, one board, and so on. So that when these align, they will have continuous grain across here. They will be inset into the frame here, and each one of the drawers has a divider. That's the client and my, the design that we came up with. And then these will have a slight chamfer on all four sides, and then a satin brass, very beautiful mid-century modern handle that I'll show you later. An issue that one-person shops like mine have is something like fitting a very sizable, heavy white oak door. So what I've done is, outside of the carcass, I have clamped in a piece of plywood, put a front clip on it so that I can put the door on here as I mark from the back side what slight modifications I have to do to the door. In general, this opening is just shy of perfectly square. So I've previously marked this door using this system, marked it from the inside, and done a rough fit. So with this system and this clip, I can easily balance the door. Then I have a clamp on top that I can clamp this in and start looking at the door opening. And you'll see that this has popped in a bit more. I can see daylight here, so I'll tap this over and get some more exact measurements. The door is now safely in place. I don't have to worry about it falling down. I can do some more markings, and then I'll take a hand plane and finesse this to where it needs to be. I have both doors, my 6-inch drawers, my 7-inch drawers, and all of the 8-inch drawers rough fit. Again, these are continuous grain, these are continuous grain. So these were glued together originally and then cut down. Right now the doors are tiny bit proud, so I need to work on that. And obviously I need to even up the reveal here. So right here, I've got to work on the reveal a little bit. Another element of this white oak armoire dresser that I'm building are the LED lights that will be featured under each shelf. I've been able to purchase 45-degree LED channel. So the LEDs will be attached to this strip, and then the diffuser will come over. This will be approximately how the diffuser will be attached to the underside. The valance will be here, and the shelf will be here. The wire, which is 18 gauge, will come out of the channel. We'll have 90-degree. I've cut these white oak strips to accept the 18 gauge wire that will be coming out of the 45-degree LED channels. This will allow the wire to come back and then run to the transformer. So there'll be 6 of these. As most things that I do with elements like this, I've cut 7 of these. So I have 1 extra in case something doesn't go right. And again, as most things that I do, I've cut these on the table saw, but finished them with my Lie-Nielsen shoulder plane so that I can get a very clean edge inside of this. So the wire will come out of the 45-degree LED channel and then will run inside this strip and be hidden from the underside. So all you'll see is the white oak strip here. This is the jig I built to install these handles on the drawer fronts and the door fronts. It won't matter what the length of the drawer front or door. Obviously the doors are about 32 inches high. The drawers are about 23 and I think 7/8 wide. As you mark where you want the handle to go, these are called 4-inch centers, so I think they're a tiny bit longer than that. And then this jig will trap the bit. And on my DeWalt trim router, the distance from the edge of this bit on either side is 1 3/4 inches. So this jig is 1 3/4 inches wider than the amount I need for the handle. I'll attach a small clamp on either side to make sure that this really locks this in. I've got my trim router with a 1/2 inch bit, just a regular mortising bit. And then I run this, and I've got my hard stops. By the way, if you haven't tried one of these Japanese square end hammers, these are really, really incredible. Strongly recommend trying one of those. I did scribe the sample. This is pretending to be the top of the drawer front. I did scribe it at the 4-inch marks so that I would have a very clean line. And this will just slip right in there. It'll screw from the back. And this is dead flat with the top. And this will mean that I have no gaps here. There will be a chamfer on the front edge that the client has requested, but you won't see the little gap underneath. As a possibility, I will run the chamfer only to this edge. I'm not sure whether that will really matter. This is the finished sample with the handle installed. So you'll see it attaches from the back. These are just temporary screws and gives you a nice clean pull on the front, but very low profile, very sleek. This one is in polished or brushed brass, and the hinges are brushed brass as well, and you can see it's solid. So it's a really nice handle and should work very well. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. And there'll be another edition of the White Oak Dresser Armoire coming in a couple of weeks.